Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning, I should say, and welcome from the city of Cologne in Germany. I've come across a couple of nice buildings here, as it goes. First of all, how are you all doing? I hope you're all well. I hope everybody's fine and got through the week well, hitherto. I'm very well, thank you. Had a very good, productive week. Very charged week. I've come to see my daughter, you see. I've not seen her for quite a number of years. And she just recently turned 16, so I had to make sure in some way, shape or form that birthday would remain a little bit memorable for all of us. And of course it would be rude of me to pop to Cologne, right, without visiting that thing that's peeking around the corner there behind this one. Let's go and take a little look. It's one of my favourite buildings of all time, and it still baffles me, even with all the official explanations and stuff, of how you can even build such a thing. Meanwhile, you've got this right across the square that kind of goes unnoticed, which would stand out in any medium-sized city, all on its own, this building. But I'm not focusing on that one, tempting though it may be. Let's go past the finances of our world. One of them. And let's have a quick look at this incredible building. I'll just let the pictures speak for themselves, but it is quite the building, is it not? So, this is Cologne Cathedral, or der Kölner Dom, as the Germans would call it. I think Dom is just the difference between Dom and Cathedral in German, or Kathedrale, is I think that the Dom has been blessed, I think, by the Pope, and that's why it gets that extra sort of word rather than just Cathedral. Anyway, here we are, one of the most, I don't know, I would say probably one of the most recognisable buildings, actually. I would say even in the world, I'd go that far. You know, it's the building itself is attributed to the Gothic era. I know that much. So the same era as Salisbury Cathedral, for example. So the same hands, the same brains, if you like, the same stylistic trends and all the rest of it governed these in terms of how they would look when we knocked them up, while starving to death, being malnutritioned, only managed to be no bigger than 5 foot tall, we do believe, right? If you look at all the doorways, apparently we were so low on our nutrition and everything, you know, we were all dying by 30 and midgets and all sorts. Well, if that's the case, how are you doing this? And by the way, not just what you're seeing here, this building, and I keep saying it and I will stick with that message because it's important, goes way deep down in the ground. This is something people have to understand. It's not just the bit you see above the topsoil. My car is parked under that bloody thing. There's a multi-storey car park underneath it, or next to it I should say, not underneath it. There won't be anything underneath it because it will be continuation of what you're seeing above. Right? That's the thing. I'm going to cross the road, you have to have your eyes peeled here. They're a bit different here in Cologne to Dusseldorf or other places, but there you go. Every town has its charm and its differences. I can't see properly through the camera, unfortunately. The sun's glaring at me, so if the shots aren't great, I do apologise. But it's just an amazing building. It would take you 15 minutes to walk around it. It's so big, and half of it's fenced off as well. You can't really get to it because they're doing a lot of renovating, as you can see. And it's pointless me going up there, up that ramp, up close, because you're not going to see anything. Right? It's so massive. But, you know, if I take a step back, I just stand in this doorway, there's constantly people walk past me. So here we go. If I can just kind of lift this up just to show you with a steady hand. That's just one spire. The other one obviously is on the other side. You can just see it there. Right. Well, that's a poignant shot, isn't it? If ever there was one. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, I just wanted to capture this and show you just the sheer magnitude of it. You know, we're here on the street level, and of course the street level is below the entrance of the door of the cathedral. They're already giving it away, you know, just by where it's at. Not giving it away, but they've left it just like people kind of know that this is a very deep building, right? So let's go around here and just see. I'm going to probably get a couple of bits and bobs as well from here to take back, particularly souvenirs depicting this place, because it really is an incredible. It's quite funny actually, where I am in the town where I'm staying at the moment, there's a big Lego shop, and they have a big Lego version of the Cologne Cathedral there in the window. Quite interesting. But what a poignant picture that is, eh? Yeah. Anyway, I didn't want to harp too much on it, but I'll try and get up a bit closer just to sort of show you the sort of just the sheer size of it, I guess. I'll go up a little bit closer. Look, I mean, look, this is way above my head here, the building. Right. And like I said, the garage that's below it is actually not right below it, it's next to it and below it, if you know what I mean. I'm presuming that you can't actually get below the church because it's taken up by the body of the church. The deep underbelly, if you like, the bits that you don't see. Right. Like here, for example, people walking around talking, not listening, sorry. Miles away. Got bumped in about 3 times earlier. And all sorts. Strange at times here in Germany, I've got to say. I missed Germany in a way. I lived here for over 20 years in my adult life, right? But there are certain things about this country I don't like. And that is these me first sort of personality traits. Very, very clear in Germany. There's a lot of elbowing, metaphorically speaking, right? And even the non-Germans, the non-original Germans, let's say, the ones who've moved to Germany and lived here for years and years and years, they've taken on those characteristics as well. And they're just as bad. Aggressive on the streets, driving, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Very much get out of my way sort of thing, and, you know, all very hectic. What a picture that is as well. And you know, I mean, the question, we'll ask a simple question: is it possible to stonemason this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago? Well, yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. But how are you getting those bits up there? I told this story once. I went to the place off the coast of France called Mont Saint-Michel, and when we went upstairs into the little museum bit that they had there, to have a look at a small model in a glass box of the Mont Saint-Michel island, if you like, monastery and everything. They showed you what they had to do when they wanted to clean the spire. What did they do? They helicoptered it off, right? They helicoptered it off. So do you think the monks, the alleged monks who allegedly built all these buildings while they were brewing beer and painting Bibles, wearing sandals and robes, do you think that honestly they had the time or anything at all to consider any of this? And do you think they then eventually considered, oh, when this needs cleaning in 500 years time, we'll have helicopters by then? You know what I mean? It's all nonsense. It's total nonsense. These things served a different purpose. Everything else has been added, right? Things like, I'll go a bit closer and show you, but things like these statues and stuff, you can add them all after the fact. Yeah? We do it in London with the plinths and the pillars, right? Nelson's column. Well, there's loads of those columns all around the world in lots of cities. Okay, and what they've done is they've just added a monument or a whatever, put it on the top that kind of mirrors the narrative that you're taught at school, and that's it. There's a lot of work going on here. This is all getting done here by the looks of things. No. So there's a lot of other stuff, schnick-schnack as the Germans would call it, right? That's Pope so-and-so, and that's Archbishop so-and-so, and that's Bishop so-and-so, and blah, 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 right? Okay, got them all depicted. But in actual fact, what we need to be doing is marvelling at this and going, how is this even possible? Seriously? Right, is this even possible today? In all honesty, is this even possible today? Is it? With the technology we have today, is building this even possible? And it's a serious question. Once you stand in front of a building like this one in Cologne, you have to seriously doubt that that's possible. And you have to seriously consider the idea that some sort of wipeout, reset, big style happened, and then suddenly, you know, after the restoration of the 1800s that's in the history books, the Victorian Restoration, that's when all these old world buildings, as I like to call them, got cleaned up, all the rest of it, some of them repurposed, some of them left as houses of worship. That way you can bolster your religious narratives as well, not just your historical narratives. And so it goes on. You know, there's no way on earth ever that this was built just to go and worship in. No flipping way even. Honestly, it's like, it blows my mind. And that's where I'm going to go in a minute. I mean, you can't even see the tourist shop. It's like a slice of ham on a huge sandwich. It's like, you know, just look at this. Incredible. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is just have a quick walk around the other side. There's the main station, by the way. I've flown from Cologne, Kölner Airport and Düsseldorf Airport, and this is the station we had to connect on. So when you're arriving in Cologne, well, there's another building there, by the way. There's lots of them, by the way. Loads and loads of these. They all go deep in the ground. They've all got different colours. Some are painted pink, some are painted white. Some they've left the brickwork exposed and all that. Right? Forgot what I was saying there now. Yes, this is the main station. So when you arrive in Cologne, this is the view you get of this cathedral, and then the train eventually takes you out of town. Well, I tried another video earlier, but I think I stopped it by accident. When I was arriving in the car today, Cologne Cathedral kind of just appeared in the distance like a silhouette, and it was just so eerie. Must have been, because I knew what I was coming to see, obviously, and these buildings have a real significance to me. You know, they mean something to me. There's something going on with them. I can't put my finger on it, right? But it definitely wasn't just, you know, monks or peasants who were told what to do, you know, and slaves. What a load of nonsense! You're not knocking these things up with a bit of slave labour. Absolutely not. It takes a bit more, right, than that. Just think about the planning itself. How long does it take to plan a building today? If you're building a house, let's say a 3-bedroom house for a family from scratch, just imagine the work. Well, my uncle did do that back in the 80s. The work that goes into just the paperwork planning bit before you've even ordered a brick or ordered a truck or anything like that, right? So much planning. Well, how are you planning all this then? How are you doing all this? Who's writing what? What schools were you going to create your architects to build all this? Because don't forget, education didn't kick in until the 1800s, late 1800s, by the way. Up to that point, we had classrooms in the sides of churches, and kids were being taught by priests and nuns, ABCs and stuff. But there was no widespread literacy anywhere until the late 1800s, early 1900s, right? So that begs the question, how are we communicating all this information to people and noting it down and all the rest of it so that we can build a work of genius like this? And don't forget, like I said, we're not even looking at the whole thing here. We're looking at just at part of it. Look at those buttresses. Different scale, which means a different size of building is being kept up by those things. Right. I'm going to walk around a little bit. That's on a little bit of a plain, well, not a plain, like on a bit of a ridge there that they've added a bit of decoration around it, but you can see those buttresses, they go way deep down, you know. But in the distance there, of course, you see other things like that. Let's have a little walk around, if I can get round. They fenced it off here as well, never mind. So excuse the wobbly hand and all that, but I just wanted to capture what I could capture while I was here. So this building here, by the way, if you look at some old World War II footage, end of war footage, there's some black and white footage, interesting footage, taken allegedly from the cockpit of an American plane in World War II, right? And one of the things that they did a few passes along the river in Cologne and flew right over this cathedral, right? Well, one thing you'll notice when they did the fly past and all the photography from above was that the building itself was hardly touched. You know, and yet it's the biggest structure in Cologne. Right? Now I can think of another few cities. I can think of another few cities where the biggest structures somehow evaded bombing. Right? I won't go into all of that now, but I can. Now I can't do too much there. I'm not going to spoil this guy's workplace. But see that? You can almost see how that goes down behind there. But I'll pull that back and we'll go around here. I don't want to be filming people while they're working. But it's just the intricacy of all the work. But look at the thickness of those buttresses. I don't think I've come across any buttresses quite that size yet in all the videos I've done in England, or anywhere else for that matter, because I've not come across a building of this scale yet. I'll just show you the ladder that's going up the side of that spire there. Rather someone else than me, Sonny Jim. No thank you, makes me dizzy just filming it, to be honest with you. But yeah, anyway, so I thought it was a good idea to grab this on film now while I can, while I'm here. I'm sort of talking a little bit just for talking's sake, because to be honest with you, I'm a little bit sort of gobsmacked. It's my honest truth. Something out of Ghostbusters, those things, aren't they, eh? Anyway, so yeah, I find that quite interesting. So if you see it, this is a good view from the thickness of the buttresses on the side. You can see it really well there. Look how far they come off the main building. That's a real structure that these things are keeping upright, right? And I think it's not, this is what I was going to say earlier, but I forgot, I lost my train of thought. I think it's not only that they're keeping a large structure upright that is the reason why we have those buttresses, but I think one of the other reasons is that something went on in these constructions at the time that required a Gegenforce, if you like, a counterforce, a Gegenpress from outside in, right? That's what I think these are for, as well as helping to solidify the building, you know, keep it upright. But you know, because there is a large school of thought that, you know, these buildings are connected with energy harvesting, energy generation, energy whatever, something to do with energetic stuff, right? Something that, you know, involves power and whatever. I don't know any of that's true, because how can I know? How can we ever know? We can connect up some things and say, oh, you know, that is very reminiscent of whatever on a circuit board or whatever, you know, we can do all that. But at the end of the day, whilst we don't know, all I'm going to do is speculate a little bit, but not too much, but just actually marvel at these, because they're just incredible, these buildings. A lot of respect for this. This is just, I'm mind blown. Absolutely mind blown. Just flipping wow. And then you got the Roman Germanic Museum, because of course it was the Germanics, according to the history books, led by a man, I've forgotten his name now, but there is a big monument erected for him called Hermann's Denkmal. You know, and there's the old saying, Hermann the German, right? Well, this guy He wasn't called Hermann, but that's what they nicknamed him in Germany. He was the leader of the Germanics, the Germanic tribes that allegedly forced all the Romans back from the deep, dense woodlands of old Germany. And so there's a lot of reference to Romans here in this region, quite interestingly enough. I guess partly because they're a little bit proud, with a small p, to have been the people who have booted the Romans out. Well, I personally don't think the Romans even existed. I think it's all nonsense. All right? How can it be that you're finding Saxon coins 1 foot under the topsoil of a field, and yet you've got cathedrals like this that clearly go way down in the ground, like way down, right? We know it because they've got deep crypts and stuff, so we know they go deep down in the ground. So yeah, the whole historical narrative has been an absolute fabrication. It's as simple as that, and I'll stick to that. That's a claim. I will die on that hill, definitely. Nothing else makes sense. Give that a quick turn. Anyway, before my camera conks out, because I would hate this video to end abruptly, I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to leave you with this shot. But I want to say one thing, right? There's a lot going on with these buildings. A lot of these buildings that we look at that are around us all over the world, right? We've got so many of them in England or in the UK. There's loads here in Germany. I've seen loads in France, Belgium, Holland, driving on the motor. You know, so many of these things all over the bleeding place, right? More than I realised. More than I realised. So even 2 world wars couldn't cover the destruction of our history, right? Sounds a bit cynical, but I'm afraid that is way nearer the truth than the bullshit we've been learning at school all those years. Anyway, schöne liebe Grüße aus Köln. I'll say goodbye now. Thank you for popping in and having a little look at this video. It's not the greatest video I've ever done, but I really don't care. I just wanted to capture some imagery of this absolutely glorious, amazing, unexplainable construction. And I'm in awe. Simple as that. I will leave it there. Thank you for checking in, looking in, like I just said. I will be back in a couple of days' time. I'm in Germany at the moment to see my daughter. And yeah, it's done me good. I've got to say, it's the tonic I really needed. It's helped me a lot. So I'll be doing that again more frequently as well. And hopefully next time not alone. Sandra, wink wink, nudge nudge. Anyway, on that note, I will see you all soon. Some of you much sooner. Until then, take it all easy. And I don't know how to say ta-ta for now in German, but I'll just say Tschüss und auf Wiedersehen. Aus Köln.